Clash of Clans podcast, OG, episode 64. And welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Scotty827, joined live in studio by the tippiest of the top, your fellow co-host, Tipdawg20. Hello, Tipdawg.
You're getting really good at the episode numbers. I'm super proud
Well,
of you.
no, the last one, we had to figure out which one it was before I even did it. So I was like, I think it is. I'm just doing it. I'm going for this. And hey, well, it turns out.
I guess after 64 tries.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm getting better. You know, there's setbacks, one step forward, two steps back kind of thing. So
since this is episode 64, do you remember the N64, the Nintendo 64?
Yeah.
You ever play it?
Yeah. I'm trying to. Yeah, I had a Nintendo 64.
Trying to think. That was late 90s, right? I'm trying to think. So I had a Nintendo and a Super Nintendo, and then I don't think I had a console system until the Xbox. And I had the Xbox, and I didn't really play anything else.
Maybe I didn't, but my college roommates did.
Okay, so you still played it.
Yeah, like Mario Kart.
Mario Kart and Donkey Kong, I think, were the two big games on the N64.
Yeah.
I remember right.
And I got a Wii later on, but every time
Oh, you can go now if you have to go.
Yeah.
I had a Wii.
All I did is on the Wii though, besides bowling and stuff, was play the original Mario Brothers. I just keep going back to the old games on whatever system.
I totally forgot about the Wii. I did have a Wii, and I was a master at Guitar Hero.
Oh yeah,
really good. Like I'm good with my fingers and hands, right? So I was like,
I suppose.
I got pretty good at it. Like I was impressed. I was sad whenever I stopped playing.
You need a concert, like a rock band concert, with just
that was super cool.
Yeah, I miss those toys. We still have we still have 4 guitars and the 2 drum sets and
actual. Oh wait, you're talking about the
from the
Wii guitars.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
was like an
real
Xbox
guitars?
one and in a Wii one and stuff like that.
That's super cool.
Welcome back from vacation, and you kind of. Well, I suppose you were playing during it. The major update as it dropped and everything, right? You were back.
I kept my eye on it. I didn't bother with my Legend League hits that week that we were on vacation. And I stayed, I kind of stayed tuned in a little bit, but I didn't really play that much until I actually got back. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that was CWL week. So I didn't play in my main at all.
Yeah.
That whole week. I took my main out, and then I did play with my Strategic Rush, Halciar, and I was in, what was I?
Reloaded, weren't you?
I was in Reloaded. That's right. I totally forgot about that. So I hung out with the guys Reloaded. Yeah, that was really good. Hanging out with Slade and Kyorn and I forget their names off the top of my head, but that was good. It was good to catch up with
every
those guys.
time. It's I can see the chats and everything, but
yeah, I totally forgot about that. But it was a good time. Chewy was over there as well. They're in Masters 3, and I think we finished 3rd overall.
Oh, wow.
I mean, solid performance, and it was weak.
Yeah, it was a crazy back and forth. Did you see any of that with the L, or you just probably heard about it?
No, I saw it. And if you guys had won that one match, you would have promoted into Champs 3.
Yeah.
Like that one single match. I mean, I always said that, I mean, the attackers in L are amazing. So, I mean, they're right there.
Well, and how close we were. I mean, it was a nice start into Masters 1. You know what I mean? And I think we'll gear up a little more this time for sure. But I mean, it was what a good fight.
Definitely a lot of fun.
Like the back and forth. I don't at the very end to see it that close was kind of fun. Do you think the bases made a difference?
Oh yeah, 100%.
You do?
I do, yeah. I looked down through them and they were all solid. And I think so. I think the benefit is not necessarily in the base itself, but in the fact that it's different than the attackers have ever seen it. So if I see a base that's similar or a base that I've attacked 3 times in Legend League, then when I go to attack it in CWL, I'm going to know what to do. Like I'm going to know what steps to take. But if there's 15 bases and I've never seen any of them, and maybe I'm short on time, well, I'm not going to know the right entry point, and that makes it just a notch harder as an attacker. So whether or not the bases were good, I don't, and I think they were good bases. Like I think they were solid, but I think that the benefit really comes from them being,
Surprise a little bit.
yes, exactly. Yeah. New bases, fresh bases that nobody's seen before that we put on the plate in front of the attacker and say, here, give it a shot. See if you can work your way through the mashed potatoes.
Yeah. As you said that, one other good benefit, and I'm not talking about this to like promote buying bases, or anything like that, but just to talk about kind of our strategy and stuff in general. But as you're talking about that, I thought, the other thing that was beneficial, I think, was that I could almost see in CWL, I like another clan that we faced. It almost looked like they must have got their bases from the same company.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
because they were similarly built.
yeah, they were like I go, is that my base? But it was different, right? Like there was things that were a little bit different in it. Um, and so it was like I kind of recognized like it was a signature almost. And maybe I'm just crazy, but um,
No, I don't think so at all.
and then
Like,
once we got those in there, right? Like so I loaded like 5 in. I just put out new bases. Uh and then we got to FC those, which were different than we were seeing, but similar to what the other people were.
right. Yeah, and that's especially when you get in Champs 3, like that's so take me for example, like I'm a lazy defensive player and up until recently like I had bases that were like 8 months old and I would just, move a few things around here and there. A lot of players do that. And so whenever we go against tougher competition, they're more likely to have either A, bought bases, or B, they're constantly looking on YouTube links or online for newer, fresher bases. I know as Swim talked about last
Yeah.
week, there are even Discord servers where the highest level players are putting out new bases every single day for Legend League. And you can take those bases, and even though they've quote unquote already been burned, those bases are up to date and they're meta. So that base, even though it's been burned already on that server, is going to be better than the Tipdawg20 base that's 7 months old.
Because
So,
it's a little bit different
right,
and they haven't had practice on it as much.
exactly. The amount of times that players would have seen that base is very few and far between, like maybe a handful of times versus how many times have we seen the base with the 2 invis towers with defenses clustered around it, one with the town hall and the other one with the town hall and the monolith and the other one with the clan castle. Like I don't know how
Yeah.
many times I've hit that specific base and I know how to hit it every time. Now I may not 3-star it every time because
When you
I'm
start to
not super OP, but we know how to hit it. I guess that's
Yeah,
my
when you
point.
start to see your base or like the same, okay, yep, I did this last time. I want to do it on this one, or um where the ones are just stop giving you problems
Right.
as
Exactly.
much. Like how did I even find that I couldn't get in on this way, or something like that,
Right.
which is wild. Uh
That was kind of like the four corners base back in the day.
yeah.
I'm not sure if I think it was at Town Hall 12. So you might have experienced it, but it was literally where there were 4 boxes in the 4 corners of the base. And then the town hall was in a box in the center of the base. And like that was a base that people ran all the time at Town Hall 12, or like the general at Town Hall 9. So at
Yeah,
Town Hall
what was
9,
that?
everybody ran the general because it was nobody really knew how to 3-star it. And so as a Town Hall 9 back in the day, like I was able to hit the general, like that's what the base was called, 20 times. And so eventually I got to where anytime I saw the general, oh, that's my base, and that's one I'm gonna hit because I know how to 3-star it.
I
So
remember you
getting
saying that,
yeah,
and I wonder if I asked you this back in the day. Almost like flashback to like an old podcast or something. What is the general? What was it?
it was a Town Hall 9 base, and I can see it in my brain. So Halligan, it's so funny, but Halligan, we did a podcast war back in 2016 that you were a part of. I think I've shared that in the Memories channel, or Great Moments in Great Moments in L, or
Yeah, I
something
have
like
a
that.
screenshot of that too.
I actually hit the general in that war. It's just a specific setup, Town Hall 9 setup that was difficult. Everything was spread out really well. And for like a newer attacker, it would have been tougher to get it down. But I'd been playing for a while at that point, so I'd already had the chance to hit it several times. So it didn't pose as much of an issue for me to be able to 3-star it.
Was that when we were streaming?
I don't know if you were streaming that war or not. I'm not sure.
I almost specifically remember asking, like, weird. Anyways, flashbacks.
Deja vu.
Yeah, deja vu.
Mm-mm.
Very strange. What do you think will happen now that we've got this new defense? Right. And I suppose we got to talk about this because I want to get your take on it too.
New defense. Well,
Yeah.
we've had it for a week now. Like, what are your thoughts on it? Have you gone up against it already?
Yeah, but it seems like it's hit or miss. Like it seemed like the first couple days it was peppered in, and then I don't know if I'm seeing consistency in it. Like I think they're on the bases.
Mm-hmm.
I know when there's like a fire, a flame spinner,
Uh-huh.
um, and I know when there's a hooker.
Right.
But and Supercell, you're gonna have to uh change this autocorrect. I mean, it's a hooker, and it
So
keeps
funny.
censoring me.
They're
It's
censoring
horrible.
their own defense. That's so
Yeah,
funny.
it's a hooker, right? The hook tower.
Did you know
I'm.
that Boom Beach has the hook tower in it?
Oh, do they?
That's where they got it. They call it the grappler in Boom Beach, but exact same concept where the grappler has a certain range
It's a
and it will
fancier
reach out and
hooker.
grab the troops and bring it in and stun them. Like exact same
It's
mechanics as this defense.
but it's a little fancier hooker.
You have to pay a little more for it.
Yeah.
Have to go into a higher level hotel, use it.
And and I haven't seen the other one. What was it? The
The
bowler
crusher mortar.
crusher mortar. Yeah, and I don't know how much they're affecting. They affected my attacks right away after they started peppering, and because I felt like I should prioritize them. So my things kind of got a little out of whack.
Hmm.
But since then I'm not being as impacted as much. How about you?
So they're definitely going to make a massive impact on the game, like a massive impact. So I think the problem right now is that people already have their bases. And like you guys talked about this last week with Swim, where you have the cooldown effect. So people are essentially now just kind of throwing it in to a specific spot. And there aren't a lot of bases that have been built with these defenses in mind. I think the moment that we start seeing bases with the hook tower in mind and with the flame spinner in mind, I think, and especially with these defenses upgraded, I think that we're going to see not necessarily a plummeting of the 3-star rate, but I think we're going to see a significant decrease in the ability of players to 3-star because of these defenses.
Yeah. I wondered if kind of along those lines, if as these came out, if one isn't one that's good for like phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3.
Of an
You know,
attack?
of the upgrade season.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
So like, you get these 3 defenses and like looking at some of them, I was at first I'm like garbage. You know, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not like I wasn't even gonna do the hooker, but I did, and and so but because I was starting to think about it, like, you know what, this might not be good now, but this might be good later on. Like, I bet somebody figures out a use for this. But then over this week, I started to think about it. Like maybe they designed it specifically so that way you've got like the flame spinner, right? That like
Mm-hmm.
immediately you're getting some benefit, right? It's kind of like apparent, like in the in easy to get like something that's affecting everything right away with
Right.
those shots. Then you've got probably the hooker, and then maybe it's going to be the crusher mortar at the end that's just like a nightmare.
Yeah, so I don't think we'll see a lot of heavy use with the crusher mortar, mainly because air is so strong and the crusher mortar is worthless against air. I think the first defense that players will upgrade, and I think the most valuable, will be the flame spinner. And the reason is because, and if I'm doing my math right, one spin of the flame spinner will do 11,200 damage. One spin,
Of just
11,200 damage.
just right at like zero level or one level one.
No, so at level 30. So
Okay.
at level 30, which means if you put it next to the town hall, for example, and your king's going up against the town hall, that means that all of those fire bursts are going to hit the king all in succession. Bam, bam. And it's only 400 or 450. It's 400. So it's 400 damage per hit. But one spin of the flame spinner will pretty much knock out the king. I mean, it does 11,200 damage at max, and the king at like his base HP is only 12,100, which means the flame spinner can take out the king in one spin. So that puts it on par with like the eagle, or it puts it on par with like the monolith. Like it's that massive of a defense. So I couldn't find DPS stats on it, but I watched it and it seems like it spins every 9 seconds. So it takes 9 seconds for it to ignite, start spitting out fire, do a complete rotation before it starts again. And if it does a total of 11,200 damage, then that means it's 1,244 damage per second. Like that, that's massive.
Great
That's a
Scott, Marty.
lot of damage from one defense. Like from one defense. Like we're talking cannons that are like
Yeah.
200 damage or 300 damage, right? This is just a flame spinner. Now, I watched the judo video, and the judo video put it at 1,000 damage per second. And I'm not sure what numbers he was using, and maybe he has like the official like Supercell numbers. But even at if I'm wrong, and if it's only 1,000 damage per second, like that makes it literally one of the most damaging defenses on the map. And I don't know about you, but I'm already struggling with Town Hall 17 with all the supercharges and max bases, and again bases that are more meta, more recent. Like I'm finding it really tough to 3-star, and then you add this massive defense that does over 1,000 damage per second and throw that on the map and give base builders a chance to use like a really OP defense. Like I really think that my personal triple rate is going to plummet quite a bit, at least until I can figure out how to get around this thing, just because it's so damaging. Like it's so massive.
Yeah. Like CWL might be really interesting. Um, Depending, right? Like if this stuff gets really integrated, is it going to start to affect our wars? And that's another thing too. Like looking at our recent wars, we're doing well, but it's almost you got to wonder if you don't get a 3-star in a base, if it was you just didn't get a 3-star, or if it was this is post update kind of stuff too. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Would I have 3-starred it pre-update?
yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. You know, the one thing, and I guess I don't know on the stats, like on the high end, they seem really low HP that like a giant arrow could just
Right.
wipe out. You know, and that's kind of my worry, and like the spinner, right? Like, um, and probably all of them. But I don't know. I guess I'm just wondering, like, you've got that massive one, like that fireball one, but what happens if everybody is planned for that? I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm wrong. Probably I'm wrong. Uh, but I wonder if the Crusher Mortar isn't going to be the month 3 thing to like have.
I think if you see an increase in the use of root riders, yes, like 100%. I think if dragons start failing left and right because everybody's using the flame spinner, then and you start to see a rise in the use of root riders because those seem to be the two meta attacks for right now, then you might see the Crusher Mortar start to make more of an appearance. But even the Crusher Mortar, like at max, it does 240 DPS at max. Now,
Oh,
granted, it does splash damage, and at max, the splash radius is 2.5 tiles. So it's still a defense to contend with, but 240 DPS versus whoever numbers, Judo's
yeah.
numbers or my numbers are right, 1,000 to 1,200 DPS. Like to me, that's not even a comparison. Like, and right now, the Flame Spinner or the hooker. I mean, the hooker can definitely have its uses. Like if you
Yeah,
insert it into the right spot, then the hooker can do a lot of damage. But the
definitely.
flame spinner, like to me, is just the number one
It can get messy.
defense to upgrade your. Oh, and it's got like I've missed it in my attacks before, and it's
Yeah.
hooked my warden. Like it's super effective at stopping a warden, any type of charge. So a warden walk or a queen charge, or even like a spirit walk. If you are not careful, a hooker will just completely demolish your spirit walk. I mean, because it will pull the RC into an area, and it's not necessarily the fact that because you can invis the RC whenever she gets pulled,
Right.
but then the funneling is all messed up because if you're funneling on one part, she gets pulled to another part, and you only brought 4 invis spells before you beam her out. Like the funneling is going to be all messed up. So I can see the hooker as a valuable defense, kind of like baiting it. So where a base looks like it would be a perfect, spirit walk, but if you mess up just at the right time, the hooker will grab the RC and bam, your
Right.
your your attack is completely scuttled. But other than that, I see the flame spinner as by far the strongest defense of these three that they've introduced.
So once it's uh upgraded, what was I gonna so once it's like activated, right? Does it prefer the biggest target or
So
the closest?
my understanding is it's splash. So I run across it with my sneaky goblins. So a lot of players are putting them next to their town hall, and I
The hooker?
always take down no, sorry, the flame spinner. Oh, as far as the hooker, I don't know like how it determines targets. I'm assuming the
Okay.
biggest, closest and biggest. I'm assuming,
I'll have to figure that out.
but I'm not sure. I didn't look at that. I'm not sure. I thought you were talking about the flame spinner.
No, no. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm because that's the thing is like these defenses, right? You start to go up against them and you're like not completely familiar with them. And so I'll like, just like avoid it going, well, I just don't want to risk getting hooked at this point of my attack. So I'll go this way. And then if something goes wrong, then at least I
Yeah, don't
got
have to
the
get a shot.
two. Yeah. So if you were, if you were gonna, so looking at like the defenses and like upgrading, what is your strategy?
So I'm not finished with my supercharges on my main. So personally, I'm gonna do my supercharges first, and then Warpig made a great observation in clan chat where he said, "Get if you're gonna do the flame spinner, which is the one I'm gonna do first. If you do the flame spinner, at least upgrade it to level 4 on the HP side because you can upgrade HP, you can upgrade
Yeah.
shots per burst, and then you can upgrade I think damage per burst."
Yeah.
But get the HP at least to level 4. That way it cannot be taken out by the giant arrow, at least
Level
on its
4.
own.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So like that will be my first upgrade is HP to level 4. And then probably every upgrade after that will be for damage. And I don't necessarily think there's much of a difference between damage per hit and increased shots. Like I think just do them equally, probably just walk it up the ladder. but I'm going to
I,
go for damage, and then it will likely anyway go inside. I can see the flame spinner like going inside a ring of higher HP defenses anyway. So it's going to be protected. So I don't see, obviously, we want to get the HP up as much as possible eventually, but I see more value in getting the DPS up first before focusing on the HP personally.
okay. Because I was thinking I'll do the amount of what are they called? Fires. Balls,
Fireburst,
fire bursts. I'll
great balls of fire.
great big balls of fire because I thought, well, then you're adding 250, or it
Yep.
was like 200 something at where I'm at. And then you're adding more range, and you're kind of like um, maybe have more of an impact. So, but then I guess as soon as you do that next level, then you're gonna start to really um, on the DPS, and you're gonna start to really see it.
Are you going to do the flame spinner first, or do you like the hooker?
I'm doing them all.
All at the same, and actually you can, which I thought was a really cool idea. You can put builders. I mean, assuming you're max and you want to, you can put builders on all three of them at the same time, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do is keep one on each of the things. I kind of thought that's what everybody was gonna do, but maybe people are choosing, I guess, huh?
Maybe. I think this is going to be a big boon for base builders because like
Yeah,
there will be bases that are flame spinner specific. Well, what if players have not upgraded their flame spinner? Well, they're going to have to
and
buy a
that's
different type of base. Maybe they focused on their hook tower first.
yeah, that's
Or
kind of what I'm wondering with like buying bases for this next month. Like, how will that um impact it? Like, do I got to take a poll to say like how many people
yeah, no, it's
do
a
they have
great
like
point.
hooker bases and they have flame bases
I
and
think Chewie's a big hooker fan. I think he'll
the,
like those hooker bases.
the bit yeah
I love you, Chewie.
the biggest hooker of them all. No.
Big Chewbacca.
um and what else on the defenses?
I was curious what you thought of the schedule to replace them every 3 months. Do you have any thoughts on that? Good or bad?
I I like it. And I know I'm going to be sad to see them go. Uh, when this comes up. Um, and I know there's been, a lot of talk, like in the clan, about it being expensive and the most expensive building.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I was honestly a little afraid to be maxed out and to not have stuff to do. And to me, this seems like a way to keep the game fresh and looking at new and different strategies throughout the year.
Yeah. And that's the lens that has to be seen through. Like you have to see it through that lens. So there's a part of me, and we've talked about this before, where for the longest time, I didn't care what my trophy count was in Legend League. And I still don't, like to a point. Like Legend League is its own beast on its own.
Yeah.
But I didn't care what my level was because my base wasn't max. And it is nice for a player to be able to get to the point to where there's a level playing field. That way I can actually judge if I'm any good or not. Like I can actually be proud or not proud of the trophy level that I was able to attain because my base is max. Therefore, I know that the attackers don't have an advantage whenever they're hitting me versus me whenever I'm hitting them if their base is max and my base is not. So, from that perspective, it's kind of a bummer that this defense is going to be replaced every 3 months because that means every 3 months I'm going to be at a disadvantage because, for instance, I'm not going to gym this thing to max. And it's going to take me a month or two to be able to max all three of them out, be able to utilize all three defensive strategies, whatever that might be in the next 3 months. So, for a period of time, we're not going to be on a level playing field. And that does kind of suck. But from the other side, I think that there are way more players like you and honestly like me where I don't necessarily want to be max because I enjoy the upgrading process. Like I
Yeah.
enjoy the strategy that's involved in upgrading this versus that, asking the questions, talking to Scotty827 on the podcast about what he thinks I should upgrade next, right? What should I use a book on? What should I not? Should I use builder potions? Like
Yeah.
all of those questions
I
are
don't want to get
fun to
bored.
discuss. Right. And so this interjects an opportunity for those players to continually have something to do, which I think is the reason why they put this crafting table into the game.
I agree. And here's one way I think that Supercell could change up the perceptions. Okay, Supercell,
A little tidbit.
this is a little gem, I think. I think they just need to have an elixir specialized just for that building and
So
that
a
defense.
fourth resource.
A fourth resource just for that building so that it completely changes the perception of what it is as a defense. And uh because I think if it was you had a limited resource, like they each cost, exactly everything is exactly the same, but it's just you have this pump or whatever that's pumping the stuff, or maybe you can't get it from other things, right? But you just get it every day or whatnot, part of your bonus, and you make choices that way because it seems like people are framing it in a way that all the gold and all the dark elixir, it is like you're paying for, you're exchanging for an item that um that normally you would get to keep and you would get to upgrade. But maybe it's just like flipping it to be like you need to power it with your elixir, your defensive elixir or something. Do you know what I'm
Interesting.
saying? So that
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not like well, everything else in the game is something that you upgrade or you buy, and someone said, well, the supercharge, and he said, yeah, but you get another better defense afterwards when it comes out.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I think like to me that would just frame more of like what how I see it. Like you know what I'm saying? Like how I
Right.
view it as like, well, it's gonna go sit there and go into nothing anyways if I'm
Yeah.
maxed out.
And I'm not gonna touch the thing until all my other stuff is done. Like we've talked about how powerful, for example, the flame spinner is, and it is like holy cow. And the flame spinner at max is way more powerful than any supercharge is going to be. Like I think the supercharge on the monolith adds like 20 DPS. So I can do a supercharge on the monolith for 20 DPS, or I can get this flame spinner up all the way up to 1200 DPS. Like, yes, the power differential is massive between supercharged defenses and these new crafting table defenses, but also, like, especially on my strategic rush base, my goal is to be max. And if I waste any time, any builder time on this new crafting table defense, then that's only time that's going to be taken away from my other permanent defenses, which means I'm not going to be max as quickly as I would want to be. So I'm going to focus on my other defenses first. And then once everything else is done, that's when I'm going to focus on the crafting table. I think the complaints are coming from players who are choosing instead to focus on the crafting table first because of the power that it offers. And they're ignoring other defenses on their base. And so they're rightfully, unrightfully so upset that this defense that they're investing so much gold elixir, dark elixir into is just going to go away after 3 months. When I'm saying, look at it from the different perspective, don't touch it. Like if you have other stuff to upgrade on your base, upgrade that other stuff. Like, sure, your base is going to be a little less powerful right now. The reality is, in the end, you're going to have all of this other stuff upgraded. And then the next quarter, whenever they introduce the next three crafting table defenses, whatever they are, because you're already max, then you can throw all of your gold, elixir, and dark elixir. And why complain at that point anyway? Because you're already going to be max and not have anything else to do anyway.
You
Like
know,
that's
I
how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, and I remember, I don't know, was it in the first or second year of the podcast, third year maybe, um, reading an article about the founder that said that it's going to be a 10-year game, right?
Right.
They're doing, and at that time I was like, yeah, we'll see. Like,
Yeah, I was the
I mean,
same. Yeah,
there was nothing like that, right? Like to a 10-year game, and I remember like at the 5-year mark going, "Wow, are they going to make it to 10 years?" You know, like when the Eagle came out. And uh, I think what we typically think of as a game is something with an end, and
right.
this is a change. I mean, I think this has always been the case with it, but this is a
Yeah,
living game that
that's a great point. Yeah,
it is not something that, um, you know, we know Town Hall 18 is kind of, it's a living game, and that's the game I'm happy that it is going that route, that it's evolving and changing, and like, there's stuff to do. Because I was seriously looking at it going, wow, you know, and I started my second account because, well, I wanted to be over in L2 to see the uh, CCWL and do stuff like that. But I was thinking, well, I'm almost maxed here. So, you know, and I'm kind of just waiting on upgrades in Legend League and stuff right now, anyways. So even just strategizing what my next thing is going to be, you know, that kind of stuff. And it was just kind of a clear path with supercharges and stuff.
so I remember back in the day getting my first Game Boy, and I don't know if you ever had a Game Boy, but I remember playing Zelda Link's Awakening, and it was my favorite game. And it was very puzzly, and I remember working through all the puzzles, and it took me, I don't know, a couple months, right, to work through all the stuff. And then at the very end, you have to find this egg, and I think the egg held a key that unlocked the princess or something. I don't remember quite the end of it, but you're right. Like that's how games have been thought of, that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to the game. And Supercell is just emphasizing that maybe there's been an end goal for a long time, even within Clash of Clans, and that end goal has had longer periods of time. So with Town Hall 12, that end goal was 2.5 years long, where they did not introduce the next Town Hall for 2.5 years. And then Town Hall 13 was like 2 years, I think, or a year and a half. And then Town Hall 14 was like a year and a half after that. So there's always been this end game moment, and Supercell's introducing this rotating feature, which means that there's really never going to be an end game. I think that it's a problem from the perspective that people like to think of things as having a beginning and an end, but also we as a player base have to rethink how we look at games that we play. And is it better to have a game that's always evolving, always changing? There's really no end to the game. We're always upgrading. And is that a type of game that players will want to play? And I think that that's a question that Supercell themselves have to address and struggle with. Like, do they need to have this endpoint? Because as I talked about earlier, like there's something nice about being max, because that means I'm on a level playing field with all the other players within this game that are also max. And then I
Yeah.
can test my metal. Like there's something valuable to that, but there's also something valuable to giving players something to do all the time. I think we have to shift our focus to this is how Supercell's deciding to present this game. Is I mean,
Yeah.
are we
Like,
going to like it or
here's,
not?
oh, new year. Here's my, or it's a new month. This is what we do in these seasons. You know, is okay, it's upgrade season for these defenses, and we'll figure out over the next 3 months, and bases will you know, get tougher and tougher till
Right.
something comes through. And hopefully, I'd imagine it's about the balance of the defense strength.
Versus the offense.
Yeah. Just that, like, okay, if you've got it, you know, maxed, and a good player, even without a max one, is going to be able to do it. You know, if it's just
Right.
like overkill, then it's like, oh yeah, then it's play to win. But
Yeah, and it's such a balance. And I don't go on Reddit much anymore, but like I've heard guys in clan chat say that there are lots of people on Reddit who are saying that this crafting table is the defense that does it in for them, and they're leaving the game and never coming back. Like this is ridiculous on Supercell's part. I think that is just misplaced anger, like misplaced rage, I think that players are upset, and I'm curious what you think about this. I think they're upset that hard mode is too hard. So if you think about the highest level of the game, Town Hall 17s, if you've been playing the game for a really long time, you want to be able to 3-star. And so Supercell has introduced this hard mode, which, as we've seen, is really, really difficult to 3-star, especially if the base is maxed, and especially if it's been built by a professional base builder, and especially if you have the flame spinner that's max on this base where the base builder knows how to utilize it and uses it in a way where your average clasher will never be able to 3-star in hard mode, a max Town Hall 17, max everything with a flame spinner. And I think that players are so used to being able to 3-star for so long. Now they're not able to in hard mode. And so they're essentially quitting because of that and just using the crafting table as a scapegoat. That's what I think is happening personally.
Well, if I'm gonna climb a mountain, I want to climb the highest mountain I can climb.
Right.
So and it does seem that there's like I so I have no idea like if that would like I haven't heard. I could see that being the case in a sense that uh not not letting things be complete, right? Not letting things like the 3-star, having the 3-star, having the very max things can be really hard for people. And that's kind of like uncertainty, right? Like it can be tough to deal with. And then again, it's a, and I think like that is very impactful to people not being able to 3-star, but it's like, it's just thinking about it differently,
Exactly.
Is it, who cares if it's a 2? I like that when getting that 3-star is super hard. I would rather play those eke out the percentages, you know what I mean? And be able to see yourself like, I'd like it tough. And it's about the win, right? And so I think, and maybe it's just the way that, because people played it when it was more oriented towards that, I guess.
Right.
I'm not faulting anybody, or I'm not like, for me personally, I'm like, I'm okay with things not being complete because I know that this stuff's going to be wiped out in December. So I'm playing the long game,
Right.
thinking about things. And um, I don't really want it to be over, quite frankly.
Well, and I also think that it went from easy to hard in such a quick time period. So at Town Hall 16, as I'm sure you remember, like Root Riders completely smashed bases to the point where professional esports matches were not going for the 3-star, they were going for the fastest 3-star. Like it
Yeah.
was so easy to triple a base that they were now competing on time versus competing on ability, attacking ability. So it went from that to 20% extra on defenses and, hero equipment being limited. Like it essentially went from, oh my gosh, this is so easy, I'm so good, to overnight, holy cow, like there are attacks when I'm barely getting the 51% 2-star because I
Yeah.
messed up my warden charge and fireball or whatever. Now I look like I feel like other people are looking at me as a bad player. I don't like that feeling that I think that other people think that I'm a bad player. So therefore, I'm just going to quit. Like, I'm not going to play this game because I can't 3-star like I could before. And here's the crafting table. I can
Yeah.
call it pay to win. And so I'm just going to blame the
Here we
crafting
go
table
again.
right out on the scapegoat.
Well,
But the reality is it's hard mode.
I think part of it too is the no wait update did have some impact
That's true. Yeah.
on general feeling, I think, and maybe it's one thing like people can um put their finger on. But the thing is we got to keep in mind, like kind of like when Town Hall 17 started, right? Like um hard mode is hard, but it's gotten easier because we have been getting new levels,
Mm-hmm.
right, of troops. So you'd imagine like towards the end of the year, hard mode would be maybe a little bit closer to the 3 stars. You know what I'm saying? Like if there are more updates where we get more troops with different levels.
I think that we're going to know if it was the right amount of difficulty or not whenever Clash Worlds happens. Because in Clash Worlds, you're going to see the absolute best bases being presented. I mean, millions of dollars are not, or $1 million is on the line, right? You're
Yeah.
going to see the best bases, the toughest bases that have ever been presented this entire year are going to be in Clash Worlds. And you're seeing the absolute best hackers to ever play the game attacking those most tough bases. How they do, because they're going to be doing Clash Worlds in hard mode, how they do, I think, will determine whether or not Supercell got it right on whether or not hard mode's too hard, whether it's not hard enough, whether it needs to be dialed back a little bit, like whether player complaints are justified. Because honestly, it seems kind of wimpy for a player to be like, hard mode is too hard. Like, I'm not good enough to do hard mode. Like, players are not going to complain about that because then they look like a wimp, you know? Like,
Yeah.
but if they have something else to complain about, then they can quit because of hard mode because they can't 3-star, but they can complain and quit for another reason. And I don't understand the outcry. That's the
Yeah,
only
I was
explanation that I can think
surprised.
of.
I was really surprised to hear, because I thought this would be something exciting.
Yeah, and then to me, like it's a very cool idea. Like it is kind of a bummer that's not a level playing field for a little bit. For players who can gym it, finish, they're going to have a little bit of an advantage. But also, there's no different between that and between an update or the introduction of a new town hall. There will always be players who, when a new town hall is introduced, they're going to buy all the gym packages. They're going to buy all of this, the cash shop offers, and they're going to be max in 3 days.
Yeah.
Like there will always be players with an advantage. So to me, this one defense is not that big of a deal because we will always have gymmers who are always looking for that edge.
Yeah. So speaking of defenses, uh, there's been some really kind of I don't even know how to start talking about it. Really, some kind of shocking development uh, in the orbit of the Clash podcast world, and frequent guest Tyler. Uh, Apparently, CQ Revolution was stolen. Uh, and they're not able to get it back as of yet. Uh,
And
Tip,
it doesn't look like they'll be able to be honest with you.
do you kind of want to? Because this is a little. So Supercell, so the leader of the clan, who is not very active, right? That's
Correct.
um, but kept the account, as leader. Came Was scammed by someone posing as a Supercell employee, right? Like as a Supercell email.
Right.
Uh, then was able to that person was able to get their account. They kind of fell for it, I guess. And what happened then, Tip? You were there, weren't you? And
Yeah, so I wanted to see how CQ Revolution did things, and so I was chilling with the guys in the clan, and we had just declared war like 12 hours earlier or something, filling war CCs. I logged back in and noticed that I had been kicked out of CQ Revolution. And then all of a sudden, like their Discord just blew up. And so evidently what happened was someone had said that an account had been compromised via email. And so they tried to resolve that because of course they were scared that they were going to lose their accounts. But in listening to the
yeah,
individual who's posing as a Supercell employee, they gave all of their account codes to this person. The person then used those account codes to take over their account. Their account was leader of CQ Revolution. And so they immediately gave leader to one of their own accounts, which ironically enough was named Supercell. It was like a Town Hall
wow,
8, and then proceeded to try to trick other people in the clan into giving up their account information by saying that this other person's account had been compromised. Your account has been compromised too. Please give us this code, put in this phone number, all of that. So they lost the clan. Whenever they were found out, whenever everybody realized, oh, this is a scam, they kicked everybody out of the clan and then
Closed it.
closed the clan to where nobody else could get in. Evidently, the guys have tried contacting Supercell, and I mean, I understand Supercell's perspective on this because they're like, we don't know what happened. Like, how can we know that you didn't have a clan fight and the leader kicked everybody out because you guys were being dicks to everybody, and the clan leader just decided to shut the clan down for a while. I was a part of a clan a while ago called Hollow Graves where if I remember right, the leader did exactly that. Like they didn't want anybody else to play. They didn't want anybody else to take the clan. So they literally kicked everybody out or asked everybody to leave and then just shut the clan down. So how does Supercell not know that that didn't happen in and of itself? I mean, granted, now at this point, you found the clan for sale
Yeah,
on a website.
I found the
So
clan for
Supercell,
sale on a
yeah, does
website.
have evidence.
Uh, there's evidence that somebody took it and put it up on a website for sale. The thing is when I went in and looked, I looked through Clash King or no Clash Stats, and then you were able
Mm-hmm.
to track the user to other clans in the clan history, and look at
Mm.
all the different clans with the history. So here's my WTF. If we,
So have they done this? Like, did you find other clans that were for sale as well that this
I
player
didn't
had been
double
to?
check which ones were for sale, but there's a whole list of I screenshotted like the player that was in there like holding it. There was one and then there was a different one and then the other one had like it was like um I can tell you the different clans that they
Because
were
that would
part
be
of.
ridiculous if you could go back and this player had been a part of all these clans through their clan history through Clash of Stats, and then you see all of those clans that are for sale on this website. And to be honest with you, I almost want to call out the website because it seems like a legit website that sells clans. And I think that I've checked out this website before and I've been like, oh, maybe I want to buy a level 10 clan or whatever. Maybe I can buy it from this website. Well, obviously, this website is 100% not legit, which means if there are websites that are selling clans out there, they 100%, and so I can't say that with certainty, but most likely it's my gut feeling that whoever's selling clans is involved in some way of stealing clans, paying the person who stole them, and then selling them on their website, or they're acting like an eBay
Ransom.
almost, right? Where here's your clan, you can pay us if you want it back, kind of a thing.
Yeah, one of the clan or one of the members that was holding it, like I looked through and there's just a list of clans that I would imagine the same thing happened to. But here's the thing. They wanna they want it so that way, oh, no account sharing, anything like that. You gotta all this stuff, right? But they can
Mm-hmm.
look at like the IP address of where that person was, the leader, where the other person is logging in. They have a snapshot of like if I can look on Clash Stats and see all these different clans and someone says, "Hey, this just happened." Oh, now look, here's a picture of it up online. I mean, I would think that that would be something that
That's case closed.
yeah, and I mean, I find it really like problematic that it just isn't maybe treated a little bit more seriously like because that's a think about the amount of time and effort and energy,
Yeah, it was a level
blood, sweat,
34
and
clan.
tears.
Level
Yeah.
34. Yeah. It is disappointing that Supercell can't do more about it, and
Well,
maybe
I
they
think
don't
they
want
should do.
to. I 100% think that they should, especially in this case where it's so evident. I mean, okay, in the initial stages, like we don't know if there was a clan fight and now co-leaders are just trying to kick out the leader and get their clan back, kind of a thing. Well, in that case, obviously Supercell doesn't need to step in because they don't know the whole story. But the moment that the complaint is made and then that clan shows up on a seller's website, well, then at that point you have to believe that the clan was stolen. Like that's the only possible
Well, and
answer.
check the IP address of where that one person logged in after the account was stolen and before, right? Like, and before they were stolen, if they're on different continents, maybe there's something there, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like it's a huge amount of, I don't want to say property, but it's property in a sense
It
that
is
like
intellectual and digital property.
that like I don't know. I really hope Supercell steps up and does something about it because I can't imagine like that'd be like a easy way to walk away from a game, really.
Yeah, 100%. Like if somehow this happened to House of L, like I know you would, I would be beyond upset that this clan with so much history, podcast related, was taken by nefarious means. Like that would upset me to no end. But what would upset me even more is essentially the guys at CQ Revolution have only gotten to the lowest levels of Supercell. So, and I don't want to blame Supercell about this, but the fact that they can't even escalate the issue to actually get somebody to look at it and to show all the evidence, like there's emails and messages and website evidence of this claim being sold. Like, look at all the evidence and at least give them a shot because this is something that's super important to them. And I would think that it would be a money loser for them to just ignore stories like this because, like you said, I would probably just be like, you know what, forget it. Like, if that's
Yeah.
fine, if that's all you're going to do, then I'm done.
And it's different if like, and the leader, someone steals it or, where like a leader kicks somebody out or does something like that. Or but the fact that evidence is right there, but and they also want us to play, they want players to play by the rules and the idea that like they wouldn't do anything about it if they could.
Yeah.
That would make me really upset.
Yeah, and they can do something, they're just choosing not to.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they have their reasons. Maybe there's legal issues, maybe
None of
I
them are
don't
good.
know, but it is frustrating for sure,
Yeah.
100%.
Dear Santi Supercell, don't ask for much.
Yeah, I was really
Please
upset
help our
for
brother.
them, 100%.
Yeah, I'm kind of
Like
waiting for things to
they've all
shake
gathered.
out.
I mean, they've all gathered in their feeder clan for now, but I mean, that's disheartening, to have something like that happen, and I feel so bad for them.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the saga is not over.
Hopefully not. Maybe something will eventually be done.
Yeah, hopefully. Um, well, what else with this update then? We you we have a list. What else do we need?
So, have you used the ice block spell at all?
I keep messing up. No, not yet because I'm upgrading it. Um, hold up. I but I
That's what it does. Hold up.
yep.
I love that.
So
The hold up spell.
yeah, I keep like I thought I had a book of spells, for example. I didn't. So I started it. So I was trying to get these things upgraded. So my whole upgrade rhythm post update or research has just been kind of messed up. So it's going to level 3. And then I have a uh, book, not a book of spells, hammer of spells I got from a chest that I'll use. Have you?
So I don't even have it on any of my accounts yet. So, but I think it's a cool idea. Like I think it's very creative.
Hold up.
Um, I think that it can come. I think that it can be used with some creativity. And I mean, you guys, you talked about all the possible ways you can use it, like freezing a golem or freezing a lava hound while loons destroy everything around it. Like
You can ice
all of
block the
that.
grass.
I I I I it, it's kind of opposite of the overgrowth spell. Like I like the idea. I just don't know if it's long enough. I think what is it, 7.5 seconds at max? I think maybe it needs to be longer for it to be effective and for players to really use it because really 7.5 seconds for one spell space for what I mean would take a lot of skill to use, I think. Like it's going to take a lot of skill for a player to know what to hold up and what to not hold up while the rest of their army is not under the ice block and can continue destroying the defenses that are around it. Like I think it's going to take a lot of skill to use. So in order to help with that skill gap, I think maybe Supercell needs to lengthen the time so that
Oh,
way the skill gap isn't quite as high.
yeah. It, it is one that when you say that, I keep thinking like, had if I bring it with me, what if I don't use it? Right? So you'd almost have to have an idea for what to hold up going in.
Exactly. Yeah. And granted, we have lots of stuff that we do like that, where maybe we change up our funneling troops, or if I know that I'm going to destroy the clan castle with my fireball, then I don't have to bring a poison. But I'm only going to know that if I can see the base beforehand and plan on changing up my spells. But if I'm going to Legend League, I don't know that many, if any, players are going to be able to use this spell effectively, just because to me, it seems like the right troop or the right hero has to be in the exact right spot for the highest amount of defenses to focus on it in order for it to be effective enough for your other troops to destroy defenses around it. There's just too many steps that have to fall into place before it can be really effective. I mean, that being said, it's a really cool idea. I love the idea. I just think the time period needs to be longer in order to help close that skill gap.
Yeah. Or yeah, I'm interested to see what it does because as you're saying this, the scenes are playing through my mind of like how I would maybe use it. What possible like we just don't know like the possibilities, I guess. Because as you're saying this, even I'm thinking like, well, maybe it's about fine tuning a funnel. Well, like that's I guess
Yeah.
an obvious one, right? But like, um, when you're inside, like if you got to turn things, I'm just kind of wondering how it all shake out.
Yeah. So it might, for example, it would change the order with which I released my troops. So right now I'm running Warden's Fireball, Double Overgrowth, Root Riders, and I typically will drop my Queen first to pull my Warden, and then I'll put down my Root Riders. Sometimes I put my Root Riders down first, just kind of depends on the base layout. But I'm always dropping either my Queen or my Root Riders first. Where if I'm going to have the Ice Block in my spell complement, I might instead start dropping my King first,
Oh,
maybe a Root Rider or two, let him get in to a specific section of the base, drop my Root Riders and my Queen in behind the King, and then ice block the King, right? Maybe where there's a Rage Tower with a lot of defenses around it. And because I changed the order with which I drop my heroes and my troops, and my King is now out front instead, then that Rage Tower and all those defenses that are being raged up by it will all be targeting my King because he's out front. Well, I can ice block him and then let the Root Riders pass him by and destroy all those defenses while they're trying to take down my King. Like I can see scenarios like
yeah.
that where it
Or
would work.
what would
Like
hap-
that,
what would happen if he's ice blocked and he's got the bracelet on him?
I don't imagine any snakes. Oh no, I imagine the snakes will still come out, but I imagine they'll be frozen. I mean I haven't seen that. I'm just
That'd be kind of
conjecturing.
cool.
Like
Like
you would see frozen snakes pop out of him
you just watch
essentially
a
during that.
snake army build up.
Could, yeah, and they're not going to redirect toward the snakes because they're all targeted on the King. And like we've talked about, for instance, with the Warden Walk and how sometimes the healers won't transfer over to Super Bowlers, like we were talking about at Town Hall
Yeah.
15. And the reason is because, like an expo, once it's locked on, it will not lock on something else until you freeze it and let the healers heal up your Warden. And then the healers will switch over to your Super Bowlers. And getting that healer swap is super important. So this is kind of the same idea where if you have an expo and a monolith, for example, let's say the monolith and the rapid fire defense, which I can't think of the name of at the moment. Let's say that both of them are together and you drop the king and they're just pounding away on the king. Well, the king's going to die in like 4 seconds. But if you ice block him and then drop your root riders, well, you can take out the
And
fast
furnaces.
whatever, and then the monolith super quick and maybe more effectively than if I had dropped my root riders first and then the monolith starts pounding away. And this ice block is almost double the time of a freeze. Like a freeze, I think, is 4.5 seconds. So while the monolith is pounding away on the king, you're just changing the order up to be able to destroy the defense. So you're freezing the king instead of freezing the monolith and whatever defenses might be
Yeah.
around it. And if you're good at it, you can do so more effectively.
Well, I'll be good at showing you what not to do. I demonstrate.
But I do think we'll see it used like that. Like I think that if you have an outward aligned monolith, you can drop the king, ice block him, then drop your root riders, and the root riders will go towards the monolith and take it down before the ice block thaws. And that will be a more efficient way of taking down high HP defenses rather than dropping, whatever first, the root riders first. The monolith starts pounding on them. You freeze it, but then the freeze is done in 4.5 seconds when it could have lasted 7.5 seconds if you had ice blocked your king, for example.
Yeah, it's 7.5, huh?
I
When you
think
put when you
I
put
think
when
it's
you
something like
put
that.
them like when you compared them like put them side by side, then I'm like, oh wow, that's a difference.
And it's the same kind of comparison for the invis spell and the free spell. So, and we talked about this as well. Like the free spell is more effective if you have one defense that's shooting at your troops because it lasts longer. It lasts
Yeah,
longer than an invis spell, but if you have multiple defenses that are shooting at your troops, even though the invis spell is only 4.25 seconds at max, like you're able to stop all of that DPS that's coming in by covering your troops up, which makes it more effective in some situations rather than others. The ice block may be used in that situation where it's a little more efficient than a free spell or an invis spell. So there will be situations when we can ice block a hero and be able to take down a monolith in that instance rather than just freezing it like we're
golem
used to.
healers making a comeback. Golem healer ice block.
Maybe.
That would be interesting. Heal it back up.
It would be interesting. I'm excited to use
Uh,
it, but I don't even have it yet. So I've seen it used a few times, but not to great
Oh,
effect
you have,
as
huh?
of yet. Yeah.
Um, what is your favorite part of the update we haven't talked about?
I really like the new defense.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah, me
So we didn't talk about the tome change at all. Did you have any thoughts on the fact that now if troops leave the tome that they're gonna not be invincible any longer?
It hasn't really affected me.
So I realize that in a way this is kind of a nerf to the Eternal Tome, but in my opinion, it's a buff for solid attackers.
Do
So
you think?
if you can funnel properly, and if you can, which good attackers can keep their troops in a line, there was 0.2 seconds that was added to the Eternal Tome. So a good player is going to be able to keep his troops within the radius or the circle anyway. So this was actually a buff for those players. I mean, I understand that it was a nerf for players who like to tome the blimp into the town hall, but especially at Town Hall 17, where the Town Hall, in my opinion, is not as destructive as it was at Town Hall 16
Oh,
and below, I think that there are other ways to take the Town Hall down, and there are different ways of looking at the base. So I think that in a way, Supercell did this to encourage players to look at attacking differently rather than just toming a blimp into the town hall and cloning a bunch of yetis or loons around the town hall. Like this is a way to break up the meta a little bit, and I think it's a good breakup. Like
yeah.
I think
Well, they
that
always do something. Anytime it's
right.
like get comfortable with something or
I think there were so many players who were doing that Supercell's like, we got to break this up. What's a way that we can do that? And also, they're keeping the Eternal Tome in line with the other tomes, like with the Healing Tome and the Rage Gem. Like when a troop leaves the Rage Gem, they lose their rage. Like that's how the mechanic is set up. So, like, I see why they decided to do this. And because there's an additional 0.2 seconds, I actually think maybe it's only for my attacks, but I actually think that this is a buff overall instead of a nerf. Even though I feel bad for my fellow players who who like to tome a blimp into the town hall.
Yeah, I
That's
feel
the
bad for
only
them too.
nerf. So for any player who used to do that, like this 100%, this is a nerf for them. But for any player who doesn't do that, this is a buff. So I never tomed a blimp in the town hall. That's just not my style of attacking. So for me, 100%, this is a buff. I just
Yeah,
didn't know if you had any
they had
thoughts on it.
cool. They had some cool graphics with that for sure.
The graphics for that was cool. The graphics for the tornado spell upgrade was cool. And the graphics for the fireball was really cool. Like I really like the upgrades that they did for that. Have you seen
I don't know
the
if I've
VFX
seen the.
difference?
I don't. I don't know if I've seen the fireball in action. Now that you
It,
say that.
it looks more like a missile now. Like before, it looked like a big ball of fire. Now it's kind of like it's not round. It's more like square shape with round edges and it's just burning and it kind of explodes and kind of looks like a nuclear bomb now versus a fireball.
Nice. I gotta get
It's
mine
pretty cool. I
up a
really
little
like
bit
it.
farther to use.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't notice the tornado one. I didn't. I'll have to check that one out too.
It's much more visible. So they added lots of graphics into it. So before, like if you were watching a replay to figure out, especially going back to those blimp attackers, like if you're sitting in a
Oh,
blimp, knowing where the tornado trap is, I mean, paramount in your attack. So sometimes you would rewatch the attack, and it could be difficult in some instances to see where the tornado trap was. Like you'd have to watch it 2 or 3 times sometimes to figure it out. Well, now it's very, very visible, and it looks more like an actual tornado rather than these wispy lines going around in a circle. So like that's really cool as well.
very nice. Those fire fireballs from the flame spinner, I think, are really cool too. Those
They are
graphics.
very cool. Like they
The,
did a good job on the graphics of the
yeah,
new
everything just keeps
well.
like. It'd be kind of weird to go back and play the original version again, or like even a couple years in, because there's
Mm-hmm.
probably so many of these things. Um, Debt collector,
Oh, did you have a chance to use those at all?
those little guys.
Yeah, the little goblins with the
Yeah,
big packs on their back
I wonder if I'm gonna miss them when they're gone because I use them kind of at the end of my attacks to
or cleanup
distract.
or
Yeah.
distraction. Yeah, and that's honestly the only thing that I see that they're good for. So the first time that I used it, I number one, I didn't realize that they collect double loot. So if you put them
Oh.
down on if you have a DE storage that you can either invis them into or it's outside the range of defenses, you can put a loot collector or debt collector
Oh.
on the storage. And if there's 8,000 dark elixir in that storage, well, at the end of the attack, you end up collecting 16,000 dark
Oh.
elixir. That's pretty cool,
I guess
but
I
they're
should finish reading
so
everything.
you're well, I didn't even know it at the beginning either. I didn't realize that, but they're so vulnerable. Like if it's within range of any defense, like they get taken out in half a second, which is really frustrating. But
Yeah, I've
it
been
is what
throwing
it
them
is.
right at the end just to help on those archer towers to like so they're not like on a queen or something. I'll just like
Mm-hmm.
toss them in to distract.
Yeah, and that's honestly like that's the only thing they're good for. I really think that they should have been higher housing space, so like 20 housing space and a little more oomph to be able to withstand defenses hitting them. Right now they're 4 housing space and they die in like 2 hits of a cannon or two
Like
hits
that
of an
little
archer
cache
tower.
should insulate them.
I think it should. And I think they would have been a lot more used if they had been higher HP. Like if you could have stuck one, like let's say there's an archer tower and a cannon that are on the outside of the base, and you could have stuck one of those debt collectors on a dark elixir storage, and it would have lasted and been able to get half to 3/4 of that dark elixir storage on its own. Like I would have seen much more value in that, even though it's 20 housing space, than what we currently have, where it dies in 2 seconds. So the only option you have is by destroying the defenses somehow and putting the debt collector in behind it, or you can invis the debt collectors, put an invis down, put them on the dark elixir while they collect it, like they're not in danger of being destroyed. Like those are the only two ways that you can really use it,
Well,
unfortunately.
I suppose you're probably farming a lot on your other accounts.
Right. And that's how I'm using it.
Okay. Yeah.
But, yeah, so if I see like a dark elixir drill on the outside that's completely full, or I see an easily accessible dark elixir storage, I always bring 3 invis spells with my farming attacks. I'll invis it and then put down 3 or 4 of the debt collectors to collect it, and then typically invis it again, and then it'll take down that dark elixir storage, and then I get double the dark elixir from it. Like that's cool, but I think it would be better if it was a little more hefty and could withstand more damage.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought they were a little bit heftier than. Sometimes I think it's just perception of like how you're like when you're throwing them in, they just seem like because they're bigger.
Right.
Um, yeah, I had no idea about that, but I'm a TH7 or on my TH6 now, 7.
Oh, on your second account.
Yeah, my second account. Um, so I've been farming
Yeah.
a little bit on that, but
So if you see any storages, like it works on any of them. If you see any storages of
yeah,
bases that you're hitting, like that are out and away from the defenses, put a debt collector down to collect it, and it'll collect double the amount of loot.
it is a different beast, even from the one I had played just a couple months ago because it's no wait update. So it's like, oh, I can go just farm it up, if I
Mm-hmm.
need anything, but I'm just taking it slow. I'm not like, diving in, like
Right.
being on timing and everything. So
Yeah, but you're hooked now. Like now that you have 2 accounts, you're gonna have 3 accounts, 4 accounts, or 25 accounts like Chewy.
I wouldn't mind one for like each of the clans. Um,
Mhm.
just so, for getting in the door when people need to request and stuff like when we go to Warborn or
Right.
whatnot. So I wouldn't mind that, but we'll see. It is a lot easier than it used to be. Holy crap.
a lot. A lot
Oh my
easier
God.
for sure.
You kind of
Are you
forget.
so I'm curious, are you maxing or are you strategic rushing?
Oh, I'm strategic rushing. I don't really, honestly, I just wanted to get up there to get dragons.
Uh-huh.
Um, uh, and maybe I might rush to Town Hall 9 because Mikey Crud's song's been playing in my head.
Rush to Town
Town
Hall
Hall
9.
9. and
I
then
love it.
just start filling it in from there. But
Well,
like,
so
right now my research is on par. So that's kind of what I've always done is kind of went with research, but
the most important town hall to rush to now, it used to be Town Hall 11. Now it's at least Town Hall 8. Because at Town Hall 8, that's when you get the blacksmith and when you can start collecting ore.
yeah,
And ore's the most important item in the game right now. So collecting that ore, especially like when there's an event, I mean, that would be sad if a player unfortunately was not able to collect the ore from this event, because like that could give them a
that's
big push. You know what I mean?
yeah. I was looking at that last night. So I think I went to 7 overnight and then I'm just putting down the defenses
Mm-hmm.
and I have a book that I must have got from something. And I'll get that up to 8. And then collect the stuff on the rewards as soon as
Perfect.
I get
Yeah.
everything down.
Yeah, and you can catch up at 8. Like if a player wants to be more of a maxer than a strategic rusher, like they can totally stop at 8 and catch up all their defenses and
It
and
seems a little
lab and
different
all of that.
if you can just go hit and hit and hit. It's like it might as well rush it up a little bit and then fill it in. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
loot's not really a problem because you could just sit and farm up a whole defense, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all about experience. Like, what experience does the player want to have? Do they want the maxing experience, or do they want the strategic rush experience? And you've already been through the game, So I've always been of the perspective that if it's a player's first time playing Clash of Clans, to me, the highest town hall, whatever that is, like there's nothing super exciting about being the max town hall. Sure, it's the highest level of gameplay, all of that. But for me, I would rather experience the lower town hall gameplay at its finest rather than rushing up to the top town hall. So I always recommend if it's players first time through to max their first time through, like
Yeah.
semi max. So that doesn't mean if your lab's not finished, like have builders that are idle. Like I think that you should push up whenever everything's done. But like I do think that players should take a little bit longer at each town hall level to experience, witches at town hall 11, to experience super witches at town hall 12, to experience hybrid at town hall 13. Like there are all of these learning points at all of these town halls that may or may not benefit them whenever they reach the highest town hall. But to me, the experience gained is invaluable, which is why I personally believe that. But second, third, fourth, fifth accounts, like 100% strategic rush. You've already had that experience, so there's no reason to have it again in my mind.
Yeah. And I just don't want to fall into that thing where I'm thinking, okay, I got to get in there and do this or do that. So,
Right.
more like a portal, I guess, to other places.
And
Um,
yeah, and actually in the most recent update, I'm not sure if you noticed, but lower town halls got a nerf in the most recent update. So
I did.
buildings got lower hit points and troops got higher DPS, making it easier to attack at lower town halls.
How far up does that go?
I think so. I'm just doing this from memory. I think it was up to town hall 12. Like I think it was like, and it was on different stuff. So like different stuff was adjusted at different levels at different town halls. But I think town hall 12 or town hall 13 and below, which I think is an interesting decision because that makes the attacking experience on a steeper curve. So if
Once you
I'm
get
used
there?
right, so if I'm used to 3-starring at town hall 10, well, like the curve got a lot steeper, so it's going to get much harder
You're not having
whenever I
as
get into
hard
the higher town
practice.
halls. Right. So when it was it maybe if it's on a scale 1 to 10, maybe town hall 10 was a level 4 difficulty and town hall 17 is a level 10 difficulty. Well, now town hall 10 is at a level 3 difficulty, which means
Um,
they're going to have to learn to get to level 10. It's going to take more for them to learn to get up to that level. So it's an interesting choice, but I mean 100% they're
surprise, you
doing
suck.
it. Yeah, I mean they're doing it because they want the lower town hall experience to be better, and players like to 3-star. Like going all the way back to our beginning conversation, players like to 3-star and they feel better about the game and they spend more money if they can 3-star. So therefore, Supercell's making it easier for those newer players to be able to do so.
Yeah, I'd like to just see how we're trading. Like in a war. Like that's kind of determines how I feel about my attack. Like I'm like if we're trading really high 2 stars or something like that, that's and you're up against good people,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, then I feel all right. But if I don't 3 star against a sucky clan, then it's oh, I should have had that. Or a sucky base where you're just like, oh, that's just dumb.
Yeah, very
Ju-
true.
Adjusting to all these things has been do you notice a difference in your Legend League or like in War?
So I had this conversation with Chewy recently where it seems like there's a wall in Legend League where up to about 50 right now where we are in Legend League, like up to about 5,700 cups. Like I seem to be doing pretty well.
Yeah, that's what
I'll
I'm.
have plus 300 days. And then once I cross that 5,700 cup threshold, most of the bases are max. So I'm going to get up against all supercharges. And second,
Humility.
yeah, 100%. Like, and also I'm going up against bases that are fresh, like that are meta and
um,
have been built within the past 30 days because players at that higher level are more interested in keeping their Legend League trophies higher. So therefore, I haven't seen them. A lot of base builders realize that players do the fireball, and so they don't leave any great fireball spots. So I'm going to have to look at maybe using the fireball because it's super effective 5,700 cups and below, But then once I reach 5,700 cups, maybe I need to switch over to a Spirit Walk, or maybe I need there's a Four Corners type of style attack where there you do a Warden charge and then Fireball like more towards the center of the base, and you put up the flames, not the flame spitter, you love them, the little flame, the the
Fire mites,
flame mites, fire mites, whatever that defense, you could put that in behind the
furnace mites.
Warden, just one of them, and then you come in on the other side with your king and your queen, come in on another side maybe with your RC, and then you use rocket balloons to take out the defenses to steer your Warden. Like that's an attack that I'm really interested in that I don't necessarily think that base builders have really considered strongly yet. So I might switch over. But I'm still debating right now whether or not that's something I want to do. We'll have to see.
I feel like at that line too. I don't know. Maybe I'm again crazy. But do you notice that it seems like at that line, again, maybe I'm crazy. People start putting just a ton more decorations on their base.
Oh no, so that's a thing. That's 100% a thing. So I don't do it, but so whenever you build your base, you can put decorations in the base, and that's 100% distraction purposes.
But do you notice that at the line? Like,
I
or was
I don't know. Like
I was just trying to think
haven't
of
noticed it a lot,
trends
but I've heard of it a lot.
because I went and did it last night or 2 nights ago. I'm like, I'm gonna put down all this trash because
yeah,
everything looks so dense on certain bases that maybe just IDing it. I know we've talked about it in the past, but I was like, am I seeing this more at that? Because I'm at that 5,700 line that is rough.
I think you have players who are more attuned to advantages, and 100% like that's an advantage to put down decorations and make it a little more confusing for the attacker. So I mean, why
Filling
not? I
it up.
guess I haven't done it, but I don't see a problem with it. Like if it's available, why not use it?
Yeah, I must have hit somebody that just it drove me nuts. So I was like, you know what? I don't have to stare at it. I'm putting it on there.
Well, on OG players like us, like we have a ton of decorations.
Yeah, holy
So
crap.
like players maybe who only started a couple years ago and are max now, like they don't have as many options as we have just because we've been in the game for so long.
Back up the semi truck.
Let me unload all the decorations. It's so funny.
Did you try the Dark Crown?
Oh, we didn't talk about that. So I don't use the MP a lot. The Dark Orb is super powerful, and I will use him on some attacks. Like the Dark Orb is literally one of the most powerful pieces in the game.
Looks cool
But
too.
that's essentially, and the Minion Prince is powerful, but like comparing the King and the Minion Prince, like they're pretty much the same as far as like HP DPS. Like they do almost equal amounts of damage, like considering everything. So the Dark Orb is the reason why someone would use the Minion Prince over using the King, for example, for a ground attack. I haven't had as much success with it. So therefore, like I haven't used it a lot, but I did try out the Minion Prince and I tested a little bit, did a video on it. And the Dark Crown, in my opinion, is more powerful than like the Henchman, but
Okay,
only
I'm,
for good attackers.
when I think you said that in the clan chat, right?
Maybe
Something about it, and I was like, okay, I might hold up on upgrading.
but it's minimal. Like it's minimal. It has minimal effect over the Henchman. Like if you can keep the Minion Prince protected and behind your wall of dragons, then like he's going to do more DPS. He's going to be stronger, like all of that. And he's going to do more damage versus the henchmen who kind of wander around everywhere and kind of do their own thing. But if I have a Minion Prince that maybe goes off to the side a little bit, well, he's not going to have that protection. He's going to die quicker. Well, in that case, it would be more beneficial to me to use the henchman instead, because then you actually have the HP and the DPS of the henchman to use rather than the Dark Crown, which only makes the Minion Prince himself. So I do think it's stronger paired with the Dark Orb, but pretty much only for air attacks, in my opinion.
Yeah, Warpig seems to be liking it.
Yeah, I think it is the most powerful behind the Dark Orb. Like the Dark Orb is overall like of all the hero equipment, like the Dark Orb is up there, like with the Eternal Tome and with the like the Electro Boots. Like I would consider the Eternal Tome, the Electro Boots, and the Dark Orb like to be the top three most powerful pieces of equipment overall. It's
Yeah.
just the value that I get from the minion prints, other than the Dark Orb, that I personally don't really see the value, and I get more value out of the King. But
Yeah, I
that's just a
haven't
personal thing.
switched over. I was using him for a little bit, but then I've been doing the furnaces and I feel like him being on the ground helps.
Yeah,
Instead
yeah,
of
that's
having
how
an
I feel.
air, you know.
Yeah, that's how I feel. And yeah, then in my ground attacks, like he's one of the only flying. Like, of course, I have my healers, and I have my Coco Loons, but he's one of the only flying groups on the battlefield. So he's gonna die to black mines eventually, or get targeted by air defenses. So like, unless like an attacker's really good, like really, or maybe they're just good with the minion prints on their specific attacks. Like I just have not found as much valuability in using him as I have Barbarian King.
It almost seemed like he was working better in hard mode for me than the king.
And I can see that because of the higher DPS.
Oh.
So because the DPS coming in is higher, I can see the minion prints being more valuable because it slows down that DPS when the king doesn't do anything for that. Um, that also places more value on the troop ability to destroy those defenses and buildings. So, like, hard mode is just hard overall, right?
Yeah.
But I can see how it would be more valuable in hard mode because of the purpose that it does slow those defenses down by 50% or whatever it is in hard mode, whatever level 21, or actually it's common, isn't it? So whatever level 15 is.
I don't know. I got to figure out that hard mode. Those rough Clash Worlds.
Yeah, I've kind of given up on hard mode. Like, personally, I'm just like,
Just I'm happy if I can get like a 2-star 80%. I'm like, okay, I'm getting, doing all
yeah.
right. But
And I like it, and I think it's a great idea, but like I enjoy the game as it is outside of hard mode. So it's like, hard mode, yeah. I mean, I don't know that I'm ever going to be good enough to really 3-star on a regular basis in hard mode. So I'm kind of thinking, why should I try? But that's and that's a downer perspective. So I'm sorry.
well, yeah, I guess it just doesn't bother me that much to be like if it's like, oh my god, to Hail Mary it. Like it's the
Right.
ultimate touchdown to like get that 3, like um then it doesn't really bother me. But if it's like an easy, an easy base or something, then it's like, ugh.
Right.
Um, so other things, shout outs.
Yeah. So I wanted to shout out the C2J guys. Big
Yeah,
thanks
I
to
saw you're over there.
Carl and Knob. So Carl gave me an invite a long time ago, and I've been in my shell too much and protected by the walls of the House of L. And so I've been meaning
Fly, little dove, fly.
like they're super great guys, and I've not interacted with them much at all over the past year and a half to 2 years. And in fact, like I haven't interacted with them much since Hero's passing.
Oh,
So I took a break in December, and then Hero passed away in January, if I remember the dates right. And like it like that was a rough time for me. And then Hero passing was obviously really rough. Like I wasn't super, super close to Hero, but I was close. Like we communicated on a pretty regular basis. Like I was his trainer. Like
oh,
we would video chat each other and he would do push-ups for me, kind of a thing. I mean, like
yeah.
silly stuff like that. Like we put together a care package for Hero back in the day, and I sent my games to Carl, that I wanted him to be able to play because he has 2 or 3 little girls. Like that was a really special moment. And then I I guess kind of protecting myself, I didn't want to.
Go back.
I don't know, but point being, I waited too long, and so like that's my bad, 100%. And I just wanted to shout them out and say big thank you, because not only did they accept me with open arms, but they've let me watch their attacks, and they've, been super fun to interact with. Like Knob has been sending me crazy stuff via DMs, and like where like it's been, I was away for too long, and that's 100% my bad and my fault. So it's been a great experience. So I'm gonna hang out with them for a little while.
Are you warring with them?
Yeah, so I've been warring with them for a little while. Getting some great experience, like seeing some different attacks. The Four Corners attack that I talked about. So there's a guy in their clan called Fatal,
Oh yeah.
and Fatal's really good, and he does this attack where he uses his warden and then puts down a furnace behind it, and then brings his king and his queen in on a separate part. Sometimes he combines it with the warden, just kind of depends. But I like watching his attacks because it's very similar to the style that I like to use. And so in me talking about the 5,700 cups and the line and all that, and trying to come up with a different attack that might be more effective at the higher trophy levels, like his attack is one that I'm actually thinking of emulating. So I'm going to watch a little bit more, and then, see if I can use it, whether or not I can use it. And then, I mean, like Carl's OP, I think he went like 4 for 4 the other night, all 3 stars. Like he's an OP attacker, and he would deny it 100%. But he's amazing to watch in and of himself. So, but huge shout out to
what's their
them.
war size?
25, I think.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know how small or big.
Yeah, 20. So, and they also they have a lot of people who are in and out, because they have a lot of like esports players that come in and go out, and they're off doing esports matches, and then they come back in. So that they have a lot of rotation throughout the clan. So it's interesting to be able to see different esports style attackers and to learn from them. Like I go through the war attacks, and that's interesting. And some people like don't attack any differently than I've seen before. Like a lot of people are using Spirit Walk, a lot of people are using the giant arrow with the queen and doing dragons. Like some of it's typical, but other things, like little things that I'm picking up on and I'm learning from, like I'm very appreciative of that and very thankful that they've let me come over and be a fly on the wall for a while.
It's cool how when you see something different, like just something clicks, and then you're like, oh, and it leads you down a whole different rabbit hole.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's been a good experience. So huge shout out and huge thank you to Carl and the gang and Knob for letting me crash.
Other shout outs.
Huge shout out to you. Like, thank you for keeping everything going, and like it's been a lot of fun. So big shout out.
Shout out to you. I'm glad you had a good vacation, and hope your summer's off to a good start. We got a lot of stuff coming up. CWL will be happening. More worlds this summer. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff next month with hero things and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of shout outs. I just did the one with swim. Shout out to House of L. We're in a tough war with somebody with a 52 win streak right now. So hopefully we can pull out a win on that one. Shout out to the podcast listeners out there. Hope everybody's having a great summer. And
and I was going to add too. I was going to add real quick that like if anybody listens, and the account that I have in House of L is an almost max town hall, but it's Talshiar. So that way, like if somebody's wondering like where I am, like I still have an account in L. It's my almost max channel 17, and like it's coming along. I've predicted that I should be max in about 2 months, I think, which puts me like less than 2 years of from start to end, like strategic rushing. Like we've shown the whole path, like how to do it, and like we are almost there. Super exciting.
And Talshiar's about where I am, which is a 12-year journey, but anyways, shout out to Tyler, Drew, CK Revolution. And thanks to those guys too for coming over for Worlds and combining and doing a combined Worlds in Angry Wookiees. So
shout out to those guys. Yeah, 100%.
Get a hold of us, clashclanspodcast@gmail.com or clashclanspodcast.com. Clash Tips on YouTube. Until next time, keep it clashy.
Keep it clashy.
Skilly beep boop, skilly beep.